So I'm so grateful for Zoom. Sometimes my Zoom fatigue is pretty extreme, and other times I am just like so grateful that we have this technology that we can be together and you can be in your space and we can still learn and grow together. So welcome. So we are gonna go ahead and jump right in to affective statements and affective questions, and a little bit more about healthy relationships. And just I'll prime the pump a little bit here in the beginning and let you know what we're doing. We'll do a little bit of mindfulness practice and help us transition here in this space. And then we'll jump into the material and have some time to engage with each other, and also have, if we have time at the end, a little bit of small group practice. So welcome to all of you. So good to see you. And please drop in the chat. Ria is able to help us out with any questions you might have or anything as we go along. But as we are getting started here, I would love to hear just from each person. It is also a way for us to know how you're arriving. So please share one thing that you are looking forward to, maybe this week, maybe for spring, maybe just transitioning into this new season. Anything, spring break, I love it. Anything you are looking forward to, bringing that up and into the chat if you wouldn't mind. And we'd love to see that. Second that. I'm looking forward to some sun, some warmth, rest. Love it. Yeah, love the flowering. Oh, you want to, to finish flowering? I'm guessing there might be some allergies in the room. I get it. Oh, you're showing your dog in a rally next week.
That's exciting.
That's awesome. College graduation. I've got one too. It's coming up in May.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Rest and relaxation.
Yeah.
Love it. I really love it. There's a lot of transitions going on. I know in the world and in just in our lives. So thank you for sharing what you have so far. And we continue to add some folks. So if you've just joined us, just welcome in. And if you'd like to pop in the chat, just that you're here and what you might be looking forward to, we'd love to see that.
We've got some more rest and relaxation in the chat.
Love it. So today, my hope and that we're doing this together is that we're taking, we're taking care of ourselves through communication skill building. I don't know about you, but in my life, it has been really challenging to be out of relationship with someone or in conflict with someone. I just didn't know what to do with that. I think it's probably the reason why I wanted to do this work is I was like, it hurt. It like physically felt like it hurt when I wasn't in a relationship, what I'll call right relationship with someone, whether that's my family or friends, or I just didn't know how to navigate it. And so my hope is that we take care of ourselves through learning skills of how to do that better and better each time. So a couple mindfulness tools. I'm going to do a quick mindfulness session that maybe you can take with you into your family or into your classroom or into your wherever you work, or maybe it's just for yourself. And then relationship building, we're just really focusing on continuing to find ways to build skills around building relationships so that when those conflicts happen, we're able to move through them, because that's my hope. Is that I want to build a relationship that's strong enough that it can withstand when something is what we call ruptured. So we'll do a little building of affective statements together. I'll go through what that means, and then we'll do some active listening practice through reviewing some affective questions, doing a little exercise. All right, so I'm just going to invite you to find a comfortable seat. We've got people still coming in, which is great. And just invite you, I'm going to read this mindfulness quote I have here. So much research coming out around mindfulness and how to help ourselves. And for me, mindfulness is for everybody. It's not just on a cushion. It's not just in some kind of place that you kind of imagine. It's for all of us. It's a way for us to connect with our breath, a way for us to slow down and just feel where we are in the moment. It does not have to be what you might have had images of. So for me, mindfulness is for all of us. And so mindful individuals are less likely to view negative feelings and or events as unpleasant or scary, and more likely to redirect their attention from the past experiences, particularly difficult, bad, painful experiences, to the present moment, promoting effective emotional regulation. So what I want to do today is just offer you, first, we're going to slow down for a moment. And so if you're seated, feel your seat. And maybe roll your shoulders or stretch, whatever would feel good to your body right now. You've had a long day, I'm sure. Do something that would feel really good to you. Movement is also mindfulness. Movement is also a part of becoming more present in our own bodies. So do something that would help you transition to this space. And start to notice your breath. Just notice how your body moves when you inhale and body moves when you exhale. Even that little bit of attention to just that I'm breathing. My body does that all by itself, but just bringing my attention there is so helpful. Feel your feet on the ground if you're standing or seated. Notice what's underneath your seat, what's supporting you. Notice your shoulders, any amount of relaxation there or softness. And on the next exhale that you have, just allow yourself, I'm sure if you're alone, I'm assuming most of you are in your own spaces, just allow an audible exhale. Just inhaling normal and naturally, and exhaling audibly through your mouth. Do that a couple times. That is a great way when you're feeling activated or any type of upset. It's a really great way to bring yourself back into the moment. So on the right side of the screen, this is a really fun technique that maybe you can find this on the internet easily, but this is a reminder using your hand of finding 5 things that you can see. So maybe look around your space and just name 5 things you can see. Looking out windows can be helpful if you have that access. 4 things that you can touch. Those can be very close by. I'm just naming them. 3 things that you can hear. 2 things that you can smell. And then 1 thing that you can taste. And often I have either a drink nearby or water. Even water can have a taste or a flavor, maybe tea or coffee. And sometimes I have a piece of chocolate because that is one of my favorite things in the world. So that is a really helpful way, and something that young people really enjoy doing as well. Helps you come right back into your body. So I just offer that as a something that you can practice and or do. Brene Brown is someone that I really appreciate her research and study around connection and relationship building. And I love this quote. I define connection as the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. I don't know about you, but those are the kinds of relationships I'd like to be in, both at home, in my workspace, with my children, and in my community. So just a quick review around healthy relationships, what we see, what we hear, and what we might feel. just that they take time, acknowledging they take time and they take commitment. That's why we keep coming at it, which we keep offering tools. And that's why I study, because I know that I still need to work and learn together with folks. And it includes relationships that are all around us. I mean, when we have a rupture in one part of our relationships, it sometimes bleeds over into another. I don't know about you, but if I'm at work and I have some sort of thing that happens, it sometimes bleeds over into my family, into my evening. So, noticing that, there's a real need to take care of ourselves and repair relationships and work on those with good tools around conflict resolution in order to really serve our relationships on all these areas. They're improved when with trust. They're supported by honesty and vulnerability, and they grow with our curiosity. So even today, keeping a curious mind, an open mind, and even if things are a little bit odd for you, you're like, oh, I don't know about that. Just allow yourself to be a little curious, and that helps our brain take more in. The more we're curious, the more we can actually take in and see, how does this work for me? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And relationships, healthy relationships thrive when we care for ourselves with clear boundaries. So being able to say no when we mean no, and yes when we mean yes. So giving ourselves that power to really be truthful and honest with folks. All right, so this is a colleague of mine, and I'm gonna probably have to undo my little headphone thing. So be patient with me for a moment. I'm gonna play this. This is a colleague of mine named Steve Core, and he and I worked, he was one of my first teachers about 10 years ago in restorative practices at the International Institute for Restorative Practices. Really appreciate him and the work he does in the world. And I am going to play this video, but give me a moment to sort my headphones out. So hang on. Okay, not able to hear it. Hang on.
When you go back to share your screen, you may need to also share that volume. That happens to me
Okay.
all the time.
So when I share my screen,
There should be a little box to the bottom left, I believe.
Share sound.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you are the best.
It's happened to me more times than not.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you.
Okay, hang on. Uh-oh. I'm going to drop this link into and I wonder if you could share it for me.
I can do that.
I think Zoom is going to give me, it needs me to do something and I haven't done it. So I'm going to share this link with you.
Okay.
It'll go to everybody and that's fine.
I'm going to share my screen really quickly.
I'll stop sharing. There we go.
Okay. Got through the ad. I didn't want to have to share the ad with you all as well.
I'm one of the lead team members with Aquaben LLC. And today I want to take a few moments to talk about the power of affective statements. Human beings seek to change behavior based upon the bonds that form with one another. And we create bonds with one another when we mutually share our hopes, dreams, fears, feelings, emotions. When we seek to connect with one another, that is the way that we create these bonds, and it's those bonds that change behavior. So that's a critically important piece in the implementation of restorative practices in schools, teams, any organization. So an affective statement is a powerful way to share how someone's behavior has impacted you and, through extension, the
I think
community.
the volume might be a little low.
So that affective statement is a brief statement that shares a feeling or an emotion, an affect related to someone's behavior. I was happy when you set some time aside to support me in this project. I was encouraged when I saw you take the time after class to pick up the classroom. I was disappointed when I heard you use some mean and derogatory terms to describe a colleague or a peer. I was angry when I saw you push another member of our community. I was hurt when you were making fun of the lesson that I was trying to teach while I was instructing. When you use an affective statement, it personalizes you, makes you a human being, and that becomes the catalyst for change or the weight of addressing the situation, as opposed to some violation of a policy or a norm or a rule. It becomes tied to the relationship to the human being. I also think it's particularly powerful if you can connect it to community language, what I like to call community language. So I was encouraged when I saw you stay behind and volunteer to clean up the classroom, because as a community we have made a commitment to being the best that we can be. I was hurt when I saw you making fun of someone, because as a community we have encouraged and committed to one another that we are going to be a safe place where we're going to look out for one another so that we can all achieve great things, because that is what we deserve. So affective statements are powerful ways to let people know how someone's behavior affected you, to encourage them to change, and to let them know and to give them feedback on exactly how their behavior affected those around them that they care about and are connected to. So Asante Sana, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For,
That's perfect.
watching this video.
Thank you. I'm sorry that I was not able to play that. And I'll share my screen again. And it was a little bit low for me as well. So you have the link. I encourage you to let's see if I can get this up around, to look that up. Again, it was a colleague of mine that I really appreciate. All right. All right. So some of what you may or may not have been able to hear from Steve was affective statements are often referred to as I statements. So they're often statements that just really are bringing you an affect. You can see on the definition to the right that it's a relating to, arising from, or offering of feelings and emotions that, or expressing emotion, is really the Merriam-Webster definition of affective. So it tells a person that you're speaking with how you feel and maybe what the reasons or what you value. I love it when it's connected. If you've heard the video at the end where Steve is mentioning that they're connected to something that you value, something that you really supports or impacts the community. It also is a way that supports healthy emotional development and appropriate expressions of feelings, and separates the deed from the doer. I know that this is so important in the cultural training that I had, that it was a lot of blame and shame in our culture, blaming that someone, like, this is a bad person or a bad student, or they just are bad, instead of really separating the deed from the individual, the human being, and asking ourselves, what is underneath of this? What has happened to this person? And how can we support them to be who they want to be? So it's a big shift. It's a cultural shift too, around not looking for blame and shame, but looking for, wow, How can I repair this relationship or support them to repair the relationships that they're in? Affective questions promote self-responsibility and clear communication and express feelings and values and impact. They also develop emotional literacy, emphasize empathy skills, and support emotional regulation. They slow down the typical speed of a conversation as well, which I don't know about you, but wow. Most conversations that I'm in and most things that I see on social media are really at a pace. And when I'm working, sometimes people don't slow down enough to really deal with what we need to deal with. So it's a way of slowing down our conversations. It helps us to think a little bit. This is a colleague of mine who developed this, this brochure, and you will have a link to this. So I'm going to move all of your beautiful faces and names out of the way a little bit so I can see it. So this is a kind of a structure of how to build affective statements, and then we're going to practice them here in a moment. Just observations, feelings, and needs. When I see or hear something, I feel, and then really trying to reach in and see what it is that I'm feeling because I need. So I'll go through a little few examples here to the next one. So some of the things you might hear, and then I want to hear from you all, what you hear around your spaces and in your maybe at family or work. So something that, these are just some examples from some of the work I do. You might hear a common response be stop teasing and the person's name. And a way to build an affective statement might be, and here's an example, if I can get it to move, is when I hear you teasing Sandy, I feel uncomfortable because as a community, we value respect. And I'm just curious, like I want you to just look at these and as I come through them and just see how you feel hearing the affective statement and how that would be to hear that if you were the one receiving it, or maybe even to deliver that, how that would feel differently. You shouldn't do that. I know I've said that, and I know I've heard that. I feel sad when I hear you say something like that to John, because, and then you might add something you value in your community or you value in your space. Because in our space, in our family, in our community, we respect each other. So it connects the human being, and that's what Steve was focusing. It really takes a statement and language out of just shaming or blaming someone into connection and into relationship, and that's where we can have real behavior change. And we're going to jump to the last one. Stop talking during class, because a lot of times the focus is on negative behavior. I feel so a way you might say stop talking during class, a different way might be, I feel frustrated when I see you talking during our lesson, because we value learning as a community. And so those are just some ways, and if you've got negative behavior that you're speaking to, that you might, and then the final one, I wanted to give more positive ones, but I like that. Like just telling someone that you like that. Another way or more connecting way might be, I see how much attention you've put into this assignment and I feel happy because I know that you're growing and you're learning. So like really adding, and so notice how that feels. Pause for a second and notice how the statements on the right feel versus the ones on the left. And just drop in the chat if you wouldn't mind, or unmute yourself if you don't mind doing that, and let me know what you think. Love to hear from you.
For me, if I just to start it off, I think the statements on the right make me feel more connected to whoever may be delivering the statement or who's being affected by something that I did. Because oftentimes, for example, you shouldn't do that may make you feel scolded in a way that may make you feel defensive, as opposed to, why you shouldn't do that, who it affects. It gives you a little bit more insight into why you shouldn't, or what that means for someone, because you may not have recognized that was hurtful.
Right. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So it kind of illuminates the impact, right? There's a lot of things
Yes.
out there right now about intention versus impact, even with young people. Maybe they didn't think they wanted to harm someone, but it's like really illuminating. But this is how it was received. This is
Yeah.
how it was taken in. So we can do that with our adult to adult relationships, which are so important to. And I love someone shared in the chat that it feels like the left side feels really nonchalant and the right side feels more personalized and meaningful. So I'm guessing that the right side's going to make you feel a little bit more connection and possibly actually lead to behavior change that maybe everyone is served by. The right makes a person stop and think instead of being short and curt on the left. Yeah, I love that.
Someone said it can feel judgmental. This statement on the left there.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yep, it's fair. And you know what? And back to that Brene Brown quote, we just want to feel like we're not going to be judged. Like we all make mistakes. I have this whole other slideshow that we talk about how we make mistakes. We're going to make mistakes, but how do we recover from those? We need to hold each other in that. We need to hold each other, not just accountable, but hold each other up when we make mistakes. So I love that. Thank you for lifting that up. All right, see if I can make this work. So we did that. So how about sharing in the chat how you think affective statements could bring more awareness or bring more awareness to how you're speaking to each other could impact your relationships at work and home and the community? Just a brief, anything you think it could support you in. If you were to think about practicing or using this as a practice in your life, what could the impact be at home, at work, in the community? And Ria, if you just share out a few of those, that would be
great.
Of
course. I see from Naomi, thank you for being the first to go, more cohesive, positive work environment. So that's definitely a big one. That's definitely a big one. See any more? We love to hear from you.
Yeah, if it's more comfortable for you, if you don't have access to typing, you can unmute real quickly and just shout it out and let us know. Totally get that. You might be on the way home. You might be in the room with someone else or not have access. So please feel free to do that.
Got one from Miss Monk. She says, I think taking the time to use effective statements will be positive and more accurately express how we really feel. And I agree with you. 100. That was very well said.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. It helps people understand who we are too. I love that. Like it really gives us an opportunity to be more understood, like the whole person, not just a particular act, but our whole person. Maybe there's something there that really brings you a little bit more, a little bit more aware of what's happening for that person when they share using affective statements.
Yeah.
All right. Beautiful. Well, we're going to move to another piece of affective statements, in a way of not carrying the situation around all day. I love that. I love that. When you share it, it's like it's a way of like not carrying it around.
Yeah, kind of releasing it after that moment. Yeah.
Excellent. So we're going to move into affect. I'm just moving you all around my screen, which is so funny that I want to see your little faces, but I can't see my screen at the same time. Close the chat box and we'll let Ria handle that. All right, so affective questions. So this is where I'd love to get a little practice in. So the affective questions are just another part of affective language. It's an asking the what and the how, not the why. So not why you did something, but what happened? How are you feeling? Who was impacted? What needs to happen to repair it? And this is not just for students, this is for everybody. Like, and when we start to ask the questions of what happened or how, and then use our active listening tools to slow the conversation down, it really makes a difference because it sends a signal to someone that I trust you to find solutions. I want to hear from you, and I don't want to just judge and tell you what to do. So it allows them to find their solutions. It helps individuals express what they are thinking and feeling, and it gives that space includes questions for those who've been harmed and for those who've caused harm. We're going to work with a series of questions that where we have caused, let's see, what are we going to do? Where we've been harmed. So today we're going to use a situation where we've been harmed.
And Miss Lovelace said something really powerful in that space too. It's she says, I think words are powerful and have a lasting effect on others.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. So affective questions are also open-ended. They help people elicit emotion. They give people the space to explore issues in a non-threatening manner. And it addresses the past, present, and future. So it addresses what happened, brings us into the present of how are you now, and gives us a pathway of what do you think needs to happen, or what do we need to do to make it right? How do we repair? So it's that kind of a little bit of a roadmap of rupture and repair, but it also can be used and utilized when there's positive things going on and building those relationships so that we can just say, hey, what happened like when you got that award? How are you feeling? What's going on for you? What are you thinking? Who was impacted? And like, just to really lean into that joy in those really positive moments is also so effective and helpful. So proactively, they can be used to explore the positive changes in behavior. And responsively, they can be used to explore harm and how harm has impacted others. And they create spaces for other people to solve their own problems. Many people have the internal resources. All of us do. We know what we need. We know best. And so it's really putting that trust there. So one thing before we go into the breakout rooms and even set up those, I did want to ask something real quick, because checking the time. I wanted to ask for one or two people to unmute and let me know how I want to translate an affective statement, do an affective statement translation together. And then we'll move into prepping for moving into just groups of two to share up just answering, and you won't have anything to do except active listening and asking the questions of the person. Is so powerful to just really listen someone into their own truth. But could anybody give me an example of a statement you've heard that felt more like that left side of the column when we were back here on this slide? More common response you might hear either at work or at home. Anybody at all? I just want to have a chance to translate that together and maybe see if someone wants to give a shot at that.
I think a lot of times in the elementary school, there's that use of the words stop doing this or don't. And I catch myself doing it too, just even in passing in the hallway, not necessarily even students that you are in the classroom with, but just that day-to-day passing in the hallway, brief interaction would still be a prime opportunity for utilizing a change of how you word those statements.
How might you, if you pause and think about that, Sarah, I believe that's who was speaking. How do you think you might, if you were thinking about affective, making it into an affective statement, really connecting with someone differently, how might you do that? I want to bring up our kind of.
I think for me, reminding the students to slow down in the hallway, you could, instead of saying stop running, say, I see your feet moving fast. Let's slow down and be safe or walk safely.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like that statement a lot because it puts an emphasis on, I see what your body is doing, because then that can connect with them. Like, I am running, or, instead of stop doing that, I see you're moving quickly, slow down so you can be safe.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? And you could also illuminate when kids are or young people are doing something that you do like seeing, like you can use this for really positively connecting with them and really seeing what they're doing and let them know through an affective statement. Anybody else at all? You can unmute and let us know. I know it's hard, end of the day. Well, you will get the sheet, so you can take this home and with you and have with you and practice. And it's even something that a lot of kids like to do. All right, let me move back to our affective questions. So we are going to move into just pairs in a breakout room, super short amount of time in terms of just 5 minutes for each person to share, and just some guidelines around that breakout room. I might pop into your breakout room to see if anybody needs any help or has any questions, but just monitoring your time. So we'll have 5 minutes for each person. So I'll give you a minute on either end, just a minute to introduce yourself and where you're working. And then really you'll jump right into the exercise. I'm going to drop into the chat before you go in, the questions that you'll use. And then we'll practice active listening. So it won't be really a process of you having to interrupt or tell the person anything, just asking the questions and listening for when they've really kind of completed for that question, and then moving to the next one. And just offering that lessons learned leave. So if you learn a lesson from your time together, but the stories, the specifics of anything that anyone shares stays with you. And then cameras are helpful in small groups, but if you're taking care, please take care of yourself, and however that looks for you. So I'm just offering to have you take a minute to think of a time when you were harmed recently. Nothing super intense, just a small episode that might have felt like, ooh, an ouch, or something that just felt like, oh, I'm not sure that really went the way I would like. And that could be in your family, it could be at work, in the community, something that just didn't feel so great to you. And again, not in a high intensity. Take a minute to think about that. And that's just to prep us for when we move into the breakouts. I think Ria's going to help us with the breakouts. So just be 2 people.
Okay.
And what I'd love to offer and invite you to do, come back into the main room if perhaps you don't have a partner or something happens with connection on that in your room, or you can reach out to us. What I'd like to invite you to think about is taking that incident of harm. One person will speak first. This other person will simply ask these questions. What happened? Or what were you feeling and thinking when that harm happened? And then pause and allow the person to share. So we're not telling the story. We're not really going into any of the details of the story. Really, it's just, what were you feeling and thinking when that harm happened? And then what impact has this incident had on you and others? And then share that impact. And then when you feel that person has answered that question, or they have paused, then what has been the hardest thing for you? And what do you think needs to happen to make things right? And you may or may not get to the very end. And someone might actually answer 1 or 2 of these questions at the same time. So be listening for that. As you're listening with your partner, really listen into how they're sharing and what they're sharing. And yeah, I want to just offer you that it is get curious, be brave, and go in there and try this on. It's amazing what it can unveil for yourself when you've just got someone present to you asking you these questions. And the hope is that you have a feeling or a sense of how you might use these types of questions in your workplace or with your students or in your family, rather than the why, rather than the blame and shame. So any questions before we go into breakouts?
All right.
Excellent. We'll have about 12 minutes total. So I'll set a timer. We'll give you a little bit of heads up but 5 minutes, 1 minute to settle, 5 minutes for each person to share, and then 1 minute to share any kind of gratitude or any kind of wisdom that you're taking with you from your time together, and share that with your partner.
Awesome.
All right. We'll see you back here in about 12 minutes.
See you in a few.
I did not share the questions, so I am going to have to. That was what struck you for that conversation? What did you notice? Anything at all? I'd love to hear it either in the chat or unmute and let us know and hear your voice. Welcome back, everybody. We're just doing a quick debrief where we can just hear from you how it was, what struck you, anything you have a takeaway. And go ahead and unmute or drop it in the chat, but we'd love to hear your voice. Just one or two of you before the top of the hour. Welcome back. Thank you so much for participating. So many of you, appreciate you hanging in there and doing something that might feel a little strange and odd. So thank you for staying curious and being brave. Anybody at all want to unmute and let us know how it was for you?
Well, it was really weird. My problem was not foreign to the ladies that was in my chat.
Mm.
We realized that we really go through the same sort of things.
Mm.
I was just sharing with the group. I have a sister who I love very much, my older sister, and she loves me very much. Talking to her, there's always a debate. We can't really talk about family. There's a debate. Even just a current event, she turns everything to a debate, and it's so exhausting. And that's just, it's just so exhausting. And I have redirected her again and again and again. This is not a wrestling match. 1, 2, 3, ding, ding, ding. It's just, but I know she loves me and I love her. But just those closed-ended questions or try to just pin you to the mat.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. And I'm glad that hopefully just getting a chance to have somebody ask you those open-ended questions about how that harm impacted you. Hopefully that kind of illuminated something, maybe a way forward, maybe a pathway forward. Maybe it's just, I'm not sure I want to have as many conversations with her. Sometimes it might be just too much. So I appreciate you sharing that, Tammy. Thank you.
I do prefer open-ended questions instead of closed-ended questions.
Right. Yeah. I love it. Anybody else before we hop off? And I know Ria's got an evaluation to share with you, get some feedback from you. Anybody at all before we close? Thank you so much.
We love hearing from these responses. I'm definitely appreciative of Kenyatta for sharing and Tammy.
Thank you. All right. Well, it looks like we are really close to the top of the hour. So Ria, I'm going to pass it to you for all of the announcements you need to make.
Yeah. Well,
thank you, everyone.
I want to say just a huge thank you to Janine for opening up this conversation and giving us the tools to make those statements, those affective statements, and ask those questions as well. So a huge thank you to Janine, as always, for coming in and giving a new perspective and a new set of tools that we can use in our personal and professional lives. So yeah, a round of applause for you. We've got some thank yous in the chat. We're very appreciative, and Janine will be back with us. If I can just steal her all the time and have her all the time, I would. She'll be back with us May 18th for another event. We have some thank yous and look forward to seeing you again. So I'm excited. Can we get the slides? Yes. So we will make sure in your evaluation, once you complete the evaluation that I'll talk about here in a minute, I'll make sure to pull your names. You have to choose this session. And I'll make sure to pull your names so that you do get that those slides from Janine. So thank you for your interest in that. We're going to really quickly just talk about the evaluation. So I will place the link to the evaluation form in the chat. When you have it or when you see it, please just shoot a thumbs up. If you could pop your cameras on and give me a thumbs up, or I see Miss Priscilla, thank you. So I know you have it. Thank you, Miss Leslie. Tia's got it. Awesome. Crystal, awesome. Perfect. So we've got the Miss Lovely, thank you. We have the evaluation in the chat. So with this evaluation, you will want to complete this, and please give your feedback. It's much appreciated because this helps us form and create these extended opportunities and continue to bring content that is valuable. Sorry, that's my phone, everyone. But the more information that you can give us, the better. And it can help us book presenters like Janine and make sure that she comes back and gives the content that we need. In the training and development department, it helps us create different professional opportunities for paraprofessionals and just for district-wide employees. Additionally, with your evaluation form, upon completion, you will receive an email from Google Forms with your evaluation responses. You want to print that email out as proof of attendance and give that to your timekeeper. Every building is different on how they handle the time and when you are awarded your hour of time from your 250 hours. But the key for proof of attendance is making sure you fully complete that evaluation, print it, and give that to your timekeeper. I know that's a mouthful, but are there any questions about how that evaluation process works?
My computer is like not letting me get the form. It's doing all this other stuff. So
That's
is
okay.
there another way I can get the form? Like through my personal email, can you do that?
Yeah, if you could, I'm gonna put my email address.
Copy and paste the link.
Okay. So
That's
my
what I
computer
have to do.
skills is not all that great. So
That's okay. If you like to, I put my email address in the chat. If you shoot me an email, then I can we can work through that problem to make sure that you're getting credit for attendance.
okay. So I just go to your email and just go
Give me an
there.
email so I know what the issue is, and
Gotcha.
then yep, we'll work through that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any
Thanks
other
so much,
questions
everyone.
here?
Yeah, any questions, pop them in the chat. We'll stick around for a moment. Thank you so much. Was there anything else you needed to share, Rhea?
I don't think so. That's the end of my
Okay.
spiel for the evaluation. So if there are, I'll still hang out in the room for the next 5 minutes or so. But if you have no more questions for Janine and no more questions for myself, then I want to give you your afternoons back. And you can log out at this time. Anyone who has questions, I'll linger on here for a bit.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening. Take care of yourselves.
Oh,
Thanks for
Sarah,
everything you
thank
do. Thanks for all your service. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.